you doing, everybody? And welcome to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. We are back. It is Tuesday. A great Tuesday in the great state of Wisconsin. A fantastic Tuesday. Can't ask for much more. Supposed to get up to 60 degrees today. 60 degrees here in the month of February. That's ridiculous. That is just ridiculous. They are talking about 20s tomorrow, though. So, well, we're going to pay for it again. We're going to get cold. Then it's supposed to warm back up. So, fantastic right now in the weather. I'm still expecting snow at some point. I don't know when. I'm predicting sometime middle of March. I'm thinking middle of March. We're going to get nailed here by a little bit of snow. But lots to talk about. Lots going on in the world of sports yesterday, and we're going to get into it all day. We had the Brewers in action. We got the Bucks in action tonight. Badgers in action tonight. So we're going to talk about everything here. So right away, I want to look into the Bucks. And the first thing I want to look at with the Bucks is Chris Middleton and Chris Middleton's impact on this Bucks team. I touched into it a little bit there yesterday, but I want to touch into it a little more today. And that is, will Middleton's return to this Bucks team really impact them instrumentally moving forward? And when I say that, right now we're looking at a Bucks team who is playing better on the defensive end, but on the offensive end, still not putting up, it's so tough to say because in the NBA nowadays, we're looking at scores where it's 120s, 130s to, just ridiculously high scoring games. And it's hard to say that a team scoring 100 and I believe the Bucks had like 115 the other night or so. When I look at those differences there, it's like, okay, the Bucks it's not like they're not scoring, but you're going to get into some games here where, I don't know, you play like the Denver Nuggets or you play a team like the Golden State Warriors who can shoot the ball and they're going to be able to score it at a high clip. You got to be able to bang buckets with them. And right now, do the Bucks have enough current without Chris Middleton to be able to compete in a game like that? I don't think so. Now, Middleton coming back, do I think that he adds a lot on the defensive end for you? Probably not. Middleton was a good defender. He's getting a little bit older. He's getting a little bit, as we've seen, a little more fragile here as of late. So Middleton's return doesn't really boost the defense, but I think the defense is fine right now. You held the team below 100 points in the other day there against the 76ers. So not much can be said about the Bucks defense right now. It's on the offensive side that it's not really worrying me. Just one of those things that's I'd like to see a little bit more, and Middleton's return, I believe, is going to have a big impact on that. Before going out, he's only played 43 games this season here for the Bucks, and he's averaging about 26 minutes a game. Not a lot so far, but averaging 14 points per game in those minutes. You look at the flip side of that, you look at guys like Jay Crowder, guys who have filled in for Middleton while he's been out. Jay Crowder's averaging 6 points a game in 25 minutes per game. That might be fine off the bench. If you really think that's fine off the bench, it's one of those things that you're going to have to get over, I guess. But, in the starting role for a Bucks team that could use that score, Beasley has his hot and cold nights. That's the thing. Beasley has his hot and cold nights. As of late, Beasley's been hitting shots. That's helped the Bucks out instrumentally. But you get into these games here where, say, Beasley struggles, Dame usually gets his, and Giannis is going to get his. Brook, he's hit or miss at times. Bobby Portis coming off the bench. He's going to give you buckets, but we've seen Bobby struggle. And guys are going to go through struggles. I'm not saying they won't, but you need to have another scoring option out there on the basketball court. You can't rely on Giannis and Dame to both put up 30-plus points a night and be able to win basketball games because the Bucks will run into trouble playing that kind of style. They have to find that third consistent scorer on this team that's going to be able to get them buckets. That's Chris Middleton. That was supposed to be Chris Middleton. I believe that still is Chris Middleton. I'm not saying the book is closed on Chris. I think he's still got some good basketball in front of him here. I think he's just got to get right. He's got to get healthy. He's got to get the minutes. Once all that comes back, I think Chris Middleton's going to be fine. I think this Bucks team will be fine. I think they're fine right now. I'm not saying as of right now, this Bucks team, the biggest question is this Bucks team ready to compete? And as of right now, I think the Bucks are ready to compete with the middle half They're not, I don't think they're up to the Celtics standards at this point. The Cavs, they're playing hot basketball, and are they up to the Cavs standards? I believe the Bucks are there, but I don't know if I would take the Bucks in a 7-game series against the Cavs, just simply because I don't know if they have the offensive firepower to be able to bang with them. Now getting Chris Middleton back healthy and scoring the basketball as we know Chris can, that's going to boost this team a ton. And I think, that's just my opinion on the Chris Middleton. I've seen a lot of people talking about it as of late here. And this Bucks team runs a lot better when you have Chris Middleton on the floor for you. You could say that about a lot of guys, but Chris Middleton, Giannis impacts this team a lot. Dame impacts this team a ton. But I think Chris Middleton has his own impact on this basketball team, and getting him back is something the Bucks need a lot. I heard Doc say that if this was the playoffs, he'd be playing right now. So he's got to be getting close to making a return here soon. I don't know if they're waiting for a home game, if they're waiting for a day off or something like that after he comes back. One of those. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is, but hopefully we see Chris Middleton back with the Bucks soon here. My other topic with the Bucks was just talking about the Bucks and what kind of what is the expectation, right? Where do we see this Bucks team going here at the end of the year? And I think about it, I say, okay, right away this year, and this was a lot of people, it was NBA Finals. They were one of the favorites when they got Damian Lillard. Now, I still think it's Eastern Conference Finals. I still think you have to get there. Now, as a 3 seed, that's not going to bode well for you, because you're going to have to get through the likes of most likely the Celtics to get there, to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. That's a team that's going to give the Bucks a lot of trouble, is the Boston Celtics. If you get in there as a 2, if you get in there as a 4, the path becomes a little bit clearer. It's still going to be, I'm not saying the Bucks will have a cakewalk if they get in there as a 2 or a 4 in that bottom half of the bracket there. But what I'm saying is that the Bucks need to get into that spot that they avoid, the Celtics, to push their way into that. I messed up on the bracket there. But they have to, a 4 seed would spell trouble. Let's go with that. I messed up 3 on the bottom, there were 2. The 4 seed would spell trouble for the Bucks. They would have to face the likes of the Celtics early on. The 3 seed, you would, as of right now, you would play the Cleveland Cavaliers if you made it out of that first round. I like my matchup with the Cavs more than I like the matchup with the Boston Celtics. The matchup that really worries me if I'm the Bucks is the Pacers. The Pacers, for some reason, have the Bucks number. That's a team the Bucks have to avoid in the first round if they can, because that is a dangerous team to Milwaukee. But end of the day, you look at the floor, the ceiling for this team. Right now, bottom line, a first round exit for the Bucks really makes you question this team. Makes you question the construction, makes you question some of the decisions. And a lot of the decisions are being made by Giannis. I get it. Players, you're going to ask their opinion and it's their team and blah, 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 end of the day. But Giannis was the guy who, Adrian Griffin, they didn't really say it was Giannis, but we all kind of know. We all kind of know. Now Doc Rivers comes in. Is Doc Rivers going to be the guy? We don't know that yet. We don't know what Doc's going to give this team. Adrian Griffin was put into a tough spot. When he came to the team, when he was interviewing for this team, Drew Holiday was the point guard. Adrian Griffin is a more aggressive, get-after-you kind of defense. Drew Holiday fits that fold. Damian Lillard doesn't fit that fold. So now you switch up the team on him to a team that's not really defense, a little more offense. Adrian Griffin's more of a defensively prone coach. So now you give him this team where it's more offense, less defense. Did you think he was going to succeed? It's one of those things where end of the day, you kind of, Adrian Griffin got put in a tough spot. And now Doc, the excuses can't be there anymore. And we heard it from JJ Redick. We've heard it from a lot of guys now. A lot of excuses coming out of Doc here. This team, once Chris Middleton comes back to this team, the excuses have to walk away. Once you get this team back to full strength, there cannot be an excuse anymore. You cannot blame anybody at the end of the day. You have to take ownership here and move on with life. That is about it. And I really do think the first round exit is about as bad as it can get for Milwaukee this season. You have to get to the second round. You have to. And, you have to, if you are the Bucks, Eastern Conference Finals is, the goal. It's always an NBA title. I just don't know if they're built this season to beat the Boston Celtics. So I'm looking more Eastern Conference Finals, kind of look for the Bucks there. I don't know if they'll make it any further than that. But Chris Middleton coming back, this team changes mightily with the addition of Chris onto that team. We haven't seen much out of Gallinari yet either. Maybe he's a guy coming off the bench who adds a spark for this team. AJ Green, as of late, hasn't played much. I don't know what's going on. Doc Rivers has got to figure out the player usage and rotations here pretty soon, because we're seeing odds and ends of players right now, and I don't get it. I really don't get it. We're seeing Pat Connaughton and Jay Crowder, both who are giving us like 8 points in total. And on the backside of that, we're not seeing guys like AJ Green or even Ajax, who plays just as good at defense and he can create his own shot. Ajax can. I don't know. It's trying to understand the madness that's going on right now. It's working. They've won the first 2 games out of the All-Star break, so it's working as of late. But, God, they just got to figure out something. They have to figure out some consistency moving forward here, rotation-wise and everything like that. But they have some easier, shouldn't say easy, but some easier games coming up before they hit the tough stretch of the schedule. They will be playing the Hornets tonight. That'll be from the Pfizer. 7 o'clock tip for that one. Charlotte coming into this one, they're 15-42 on the season. They're 7-21 on the road this year. The Bucks 23-7 at home. Pretty good home team there are the Milwaukee Bucks. Mikal Bridges is the main guy there for the Hornets, 21 a game right now. He's about 46% from the floor shooting the basketball right now. Giannis leads the Bucks heading into this one, 30 points a game right now. He's shooting about 61% from the floor on the year. Rebounding, Richards for Charlotte. He's averaging about 8 a game. Giannis is averaging about 11. So Giannis leading in 2 categories for the Bucks there, and Richards is leading for Charlotte. Assists-wise, point guard Smith for the Charlotte Hornets. He's averaging about 3 a game, and Damian Lillard is averaging about 6 a game for the Milwaukee Bucks. On the injury report, as of right now, Chris Middleton's still out, as we know. Charlotte, nobody listed as of right now here. Portland was their last matchup. The Hornets there, they did get the win, 93-80. They did lose to the Golden State Warriors before that game. Other than that, looking at the Bucks here, their last 5, we know it. They have taken the first 2 games after the All-Star break here. They have beaten the Timberwolves and 76ers. So Bucks coming in, playing well on defensive end. Got to see a little bit more defense in this game, heading up against a pretty, rough Charlotte Hornets team, kind of on the downhill slope, waiting for the NBA draft to try to retool and get better, heading into the 2025 season there. So with that, that's about all I got for the Bucks. Just wanted to dip into Chris Middleton, wanted to look at the ceiling for the Bucks on this season, and also look at the game coming up tonight here from the Pfizer, a 7 o'clock tip for that ball game. I believe it's on Bally Sports for that game if you want to check it out, if you're not heading down to the Pfizer there. But with that, I want to mention a couple of our sponsors here. First, your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty. Call Peggy, Sue, or Anna to find your dream home, or if you're looking to sell, find them on Facebook at your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty, or stop in and see them at their location in Marshfield. Also, sports cards and memorabilia located in the Marshfield Mall. Stop in and see Al there. He's got everything you need, from sporting cards to memorabilia. He's got player jerseys, replica cars, everything you need as a hobby enthusiast. Check out the store there in the Marshfield Mall. Also, Pittsville Farm and Home Center. At the store, they serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. Stop in and see the awesome crew at Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville. I want to move on here. I want to talk a little bit of Packer talk today. We haven't talked about the Packers in a while. I figured, why not? Why not jump into the pack today a little bit here? And a couple of things that interested me. First one, could the Packers go after a free agent running back? They got some money to spend now. If they don't sign back any of their free agents, and I did see that they restructured Rashawn Gary's contract, which is going to free him up about $4 million there. The cap space was increased for the NFL this season here. So now Packers got a little bit of money to spend. Do you go into free agency and look for a running back? I think it's an interesting way to look at it. So right now, your free agent running backs are going to be the likes of, I mean, there's a lot more than this list, but this is the list that I saw, some of the bigger names. You have Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard, Derrick Henry, and Austin Eckler. They don't, none of those guys are expected to get the franchise tag, so all those guys will reach free agency here. Of those names, the only guys that really spark an interest to me, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, and I don't know. I have always, Josh Jacobs, when he was with the Raiders, wasn't terrible. I don't think he's a terrible running back. Tony Pollard, I would stay away. Austin Eckler, I would stay away. You have those three other guys there. Josh Jacobs would be my only outside guy. So now you're looking at a guy like Derrick Henry or Saquon Barkley. You can look at this two ways. If you are the Green Bay Packers and you believe next season we can win a Super Bowl, we can go all in, we can win it all, then I go after one of these guys. Simply because you have Aaron Jones back, you're going to have Emmanuel Wilson, and I mean, Patrick Taylor's always the floating guy, right, in the Green Bay backfield. So you'll probably see Patrick Taylor's name around a little bit. But other than that, A.J. Dillon, I don't expect the Packers to bring back. So you're going to have the likes of Saquon, Derrick Henry, or you're going to have the likes of Aaron Jones and Emmanuel Wilson for probably, that's going to be your two mainstays for sure. So now you're looking at the likes of, in free agency, Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry. Those are two big names. Two of the big names that if I were the Green Bay Packers, I would even be looking at. Derrick Henry makes an instant impact on your team. That is 100%. You give him a good offensive line, you give him holes to run through, still a big body, he's a bruiser, he can get things done for you. Saquon Barkley, when healthy, very good. Very good for the New York Giants. Why Daniel Jones looks so good was because Saquon Barkley finally played a full season, and all he had to do was hand the ball off and dump the ball off, and Saquon was going to take care of the rest for him. So Saquon, injury prone. Aaron Jones, injury prone. You'd probably only see one of them. You'd be able to take the load off of one to be able to give it to the other guy. I could see that aspect of it. I could see that working for the Packers. Do you sign a running back, though? Is that something the Packers should be looking at right now? They're going to try and retool the defense. They're going to be looking at the offensive line a little bit more. I feel like in the receiver room, you're good. We know we're good at quarterback. Offensive line, like I said, definite on the offensive side. Defensive side, you're looking at the corners. You're looking at the safety room. You're looking linebacker maybe, and maybe on the edge. But other than that, you have some space there where there's a lot of good offensive linemen coming up in this next draft. And it's a quarterback heavy, offensive line heavy draft, I would say. You look at the top, you look at a lot of the mock drafts, a lot of tackles and a lot of quarterbacks. Not a lot of great running backs. You have good running backs, or could be fantastic. I mean, I'm not going to say that none of these guys are going to turn out good. You have Shipley. You have Blake Corum. You have the likes of Braylon Allen coming out of Wisconsin. You have a lot of decent talent coming in there. But it's going to be the question of, do the Packers want to have a year where they're working with a backup running back who is a rookie, Or do they believe that they're in that Super Bowl realm where they could add one of these guys and succeed? And honestly, I look at this Packers team heading into next season, and I say to myself, good wide receiver room. Jordan Love played fantastic at the end of the year. You'd think that's going to transfer over into next season. You have some decent offensive line pieces returning. I guarantee you they're going to be out there looking for guys. Defensively, you expect Van Ness to improve heading into this next year. You're going to have Jair back. In the linebacker room, Quay Walker's going to be back. I don't know about Devondre Campbell, what the Packers are going to do with that situation. You're going to have Preston Smith back. D-tackle, you're rolling Kenny Clark. You still have the likes of Devontae Wyatt. You have Engelbar out there on the edge. I thought he was fantastic for Green Bay this year. You have a lot of pieces on the defensive side. Are you going to waste some cap space going out and signing? Let's just say you look at the defensive side of the ball and you look at free agents on the defensive side of the ball. The number one defensive player out there right now is Chris Jones. I don't think the Packers touch Chris Jones. I would love Chris Jones at deep tackle for the Green Bay Packers. He's a game wrecker. I don't see Chris Jones coming to Green Bay. But you flip it down a little bit here. You have Josh Allen, edge rusher, coming from Jacksonville. He had a great season in 2023. I don't think the Jaguars are going to let him walk away. I think the Jaguars will sign him back, but say he becomes available. Do you go after an edge rusher then? And you're going to have the likes of a lot of defensive players in there in the free agent pool, I believe. Even looking at the cornerback room, L'Jarius Sneed coming out of Kansas City. I can't imagine Kansas City lets him walk away, but if he does, there's another guy in Sneed that this Packers team could be looking at to bring back. Daniel Hunter, edge rusher there coming out of Minnesota. Only in his age 29 years old, getting a little bit older, but there's a lot of potential out there in the free agent room for Green Bay. I think it's really going to depend, where do they fill their needs? Do they fill their defensive needs through the draft? Or are they going to fill some of it in free agency? You're always going to see guys get signed late there. You're going to, last year we had Jonathan Owens, signed him late, came to Green Bay on a smaller contract, played well. We're going to see a lot of those guys come to Green Bay. But I want to see the Packers make a splash. They believe, and I believe, this Packers team's on the cusp of it, right? They made it to the playoffs last year, weren't expected to make it, made it to the playoffs, beat the Dallas Cowboys, should have, and I hate to say should have, but they should have beaten the San Francisco 49ers and been in an NFC championship game. But, end of the day, lost that game. But you can see how close they were with what they had in the room. Now you head into this next year. You're going to have Jordan Love, a little bit more experience. These receivers, a little bit more experience. You're going to have your tight end room healthy. Not having Luke Musgrave for a majority of that season, that might have hurt a little bit for this pack. Tucker Kraft stepped up, but having Luke Musgrave out there full-time, that's a boost. Defensively, these guys get a year older, right? Van Ness, year older. Rashawn Gary, he's going to be healthy this year. Last year, coming off an injury. I didn't expect a lot of Rashawn Gary. Coming into this year, you expect a fully ready-to-go Rashawn Gary here. The linebacker room for the Packers was a revolving door last year. Everybody was hurt. Quay Walker would get injured, and then all of a sudden Campbell would come back. Then Quay Walker comes back, Campbell's out. Isaiah McDuffie, he played well for Green Bay. Where's his role going to be? It's all these moving pieces, but do the Green Bay Packers fill some need there on the defensive side with free agency, or is it in the draft? Then if it's in the draft, maybe you open yourself up to a spot where I can say, hey, Saquon Barkley, we have this team in Green Bay right now that we're building for a Super Bowl run. Do you want to be a part of that? And I really truthfully believe some guys will take a little bit less on the paycheck to come to a team that they believe they can win a Super Bowl with. Maybe that's Derrick Henry. He's getting, running backs have an expiration date. We know that. Derrick Henry's getting a little bit older. Do we see Derrick Henry come to Green Bay, one more title run, trying to make a title run? Maybe he believes they have that shot. It's one of the, I was always so high on the Packers drafting a running back, But now I really put in, I saw this question where somebody asked it there about if the Packers should bring in a free agent. And I really got to myself thinking, I wouldn't mind seeing Saquon Barkley come to Green Bay. I would not mind Derrick Henry as the backup to Aaron Jones. He's a bruiser, just like A.J. Dillon, but I believe he's got a little bit more versatility than what A.J. Dillon's got. They stay healthy for this Packers team. You got the best, and I'm going to say it. If Saquon Barkley stays healthy and you bring him into Green Bay, you have the best 1-2 running back room in the NFL. You do. Hands down. I mean, you could say not the best running backs if you like Christian McCaffrey, but you can honestly say best 1-2 running back room in the NFL. And it's far and few between that you could say something like that. This last year, Detroit, look at Detroit. They had Gibbs in there and they had Montgomery. They look good. They had a very good 1-2 punch with those two guys. And that carried them in a lot of games. Can the Packers do that too? Last year, A.J. Dillon was hit or miss. He played fine, but he got slow. He got really slow for this Green Bay Packers team. When Aaron Jones saved the season for the Green Bay Packers. I really do think. I mean, Jordan Love played very good down the stretch. And the rookie wide receivers played very well for Green Bay. But Aaron Jones coming back and giving you 100-yard performance after 100-yard performance put this Packers team on the map there that you had to respect not only the run game, but the pass game for Green Bay. I don't know. I would love to hear what you guys think. Would you bring one of these free agent running backs into Green Bay? How would that sit with you? And, do you believe the Packers could benefit from bringing in one of these guys and maybe using some of that cap space in that area? Another guy in the free agent pool for Green Bay is going to be Darnell Savage. They're expecting him to be around that $5 to $7 million range is what they expect him to get there. Do you bring Savage back to this Green Bay Packers team? I think, honestly, and I've said it before, when he came out of college, Darnell Savage was a hard hitter and he was aggressive. When he came to Green Bay, I think they took that away from him. They changed it on him. And I really do think if Heffley turns out to be what we're all hearing, I think bringing back Darnell Savage, that might benefit his game. That might make him even better. And I wouldn't be opposed to it. You're going to have a young secondary going into next season. You're going to want some stability in there. I think Darnell Savage gives you that stability. Jair's he's a fantastic corner. I don't think he's a leader. I really don't. He's not a guy that I would follow, let me tell you. But I think Darnell Savage could be the leader for this defense in that secondary room, and I would not be opposed to Darnell Savage coming back to Green Bay there. If you got him for $5 million, I'm fine. $7 million, still not bad. For a guy like Darnell Savage, who's been there, done that, had a couple big plays for Green Bay here in this last season, should have had another one, should have had a pick there in that game against the 49ers. This is a guy who has the experience. I would bring him back to Green Bay. The guy I'm not bringing back, David Bakhtiari. David Bakhtiari, I'm sorry, but for any David Bakhtiari fans out there and lovers, the guy, you can't keep him on the football field. And he's wasting a spot right now. We could save money by cutting him. We could gain a roster spot by cutting David Bakhtiari. If somebody wants him, if Aaron Rodgers, if you can talk Aaron Rodgers into getting him over to the New York Jets, that'll work. That'll work for me. If you get a 4th-round pick for David Bakhtiari, good enough for me. Because as of right now, too injury prone, can't keep him on the football field. I've had enough of watching David Bakhtiari. Go to the draft and find somebody to replace him for all I care. Look in free agency and find a offensive lineman to replace him. It's not worth the amount of time that Green Bay has put in waiting for David Bakhtiari to come back to this team. So that's where I'm at with Packers right now, free agency wise. We're going to get to the draft here soon, so we're going to get into a little bit of mock draft talk. We're going to get it. The combine is coming up, so we're going to get some more stats coming out of there. We have some interesting stuff to talk about there for the Green Bay Packers moving forward. But with that, I want to get to a couple of our sponsors here. First, Game Day Supply in Onalaska. Do you have a sports club or team? Are you looking for some sweet custom uniforms or apparel? Check out the awesome crew at Game Day Supply to get your team the sweetest gear. Find them on Facebook at Game Day Supply or online at GameDaySupply.net. Also, Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood. If you've been injured lately, whether at work or on the basketball court or on the field, wherever it is, stop in at Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood. If you need a physical therapist, that's a guy you got to check out. Chad over there will get you right. He will get you back on the field, back to work, whatever it is. Stop in there in Greenwood, Wisconsin at Sport and Spine Clinic. But with that, Brewers news. Brewers did end up losing Game 3 of the spring training schedule. It's just spring, right? That's all we need to know. It's just spring. We're just going to look at guys that we care about and see how they did here. So, in this game against the Reds, the Brewers did lose 8-3. They were out hit by the Reds. Reds with 9 hits in this game compared to the Brewers' 8. Looking at the lineup for the Brewers, we did see Frelick in there at third base. He had no hits on the game. Luis Lara, an interesting guy there. Young prospect for the Brewers. Very good outfield prospect there. Got into the game there in right field. He was 0 for 2. Contreras also played 0 for on the day. Churro did play in center field. He went 1 for 2 on the day. Eric Brown Jr. was 1 for 1, shortstop there. Great prospect for the Brewers. Shortstop prospect, 1 for 1 on the day. Joey Weimer went 0 for 2 on the day there. Brock Wilken did get in. I believe he walked in his one plate appearance. Joey Ortiz started for the Brewers there at shortstop. 1 for 2 day with 1 RBI and a walk. So good to see Joey Ortiz getting into the action there and getting a big knock for the Brewers. Andrew Monasterio, a 1 for 2 day there playing second base for the Brewers. Owen Miller had a 1 for 2 day. Eric Haas had a 1 for 2 day. And Brewer Hicklin. A lot of people still don't believe that his name's actually Brewer. It's not. It's his middle name. He's Charles Brewer Hicklin. But Brewer Hicklin is what we love to call him. 1 for 1 on the day. He started in left field there. He did have a walk also in this game here. Pitching-wise for the Brewers, Bryce Wilson, inning of work there. He had no earned runs, 1 walk on the day. Elvis Peguero had a walk and 2 strikeouts in an inning of work. And then Abner Uribe came in for an inning. He gave up 3 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, no strikeouts there. Robert Gasser, came in for an inning of work after Uribe. He had a strikeout and a walk in his inning. And then also Yeager did pitch for the Brewers. He had 1 inning pitched, 1 hit, and 1 strikeout in this one. That's about it for the notable pitchers in this game for the Brewers. Like I said, Brewers drop Game 3 of the spring training schedule, 8-3. They will be in action today. That will be coming up. The first game will be on, this is going to be on Bally Sports Wisconsin finally. We will get to watch the Brewers on Bally finally. So fantastic news there. Jansen Junk will get the ball for the Brewers. He'll take on Plesac for the Angels there. Can't wait. Can't wait to see a little Brewer action in this one going up against the Angels there. Not sure starting lineups yet, but like I said yesterday, stay tuned on the Facebook page at Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage, and we will keep you up to date there and get the lineup out to you as soon as it is released there. But with that, in other action, coming up tonight here, we're going to have the Badgers taking on the Indiana Hoosiers. And again, another game on Peacock. Fantastic. Can't wait. Thank goodness I bought Peacock just to watch sports. So, Wisconsin coming in this game 18-9 on the season right now, 10-6 in conference play. Indiana coming in 14-13 overall in the season, and 6-10 in conference play. Indiana, on this season, it's been a down year for the Hoosiers. Nothing seems to be going right. As of late, they have lost 4 in a row. They did lose to Purdue and then Northwestern, then losing a game to Nebraska. that was the first, I would believe that was the first road win for Nebraska on the year. So congratulations to the Nebraska Cornhuskers on finally getting a win in Big Ten play. Yeah, on the road. Fantastic. Penn State, they also lost that game there at Penn State. Badgers coming into this one, they won 2 of their last 3, lost that game to Iowa in overtime. Other than that, they have won the last 2 home matchups. But if you look at the last 5, the Badgers have lost every game on the road. Makes you worry. Makes you worry heading into this game here against Indiana, especially from Assembly Hall in this one. Looking at stat-wise, this Indiana team on the season right now, they're averaging about 72 points per game right now, 34 rebounds per game for this Hoosiers team. Field goal percentage, they're shooting at about 47%. Not a bad team overall here in the Hoosiers. Just can't score it at the clip that you would expect. Indiana, I mean, as of years past, this was a pretty good Indiana team with the likes of Trace Jackson Davis. Now trying to replace him, not doing too hot as of late. Mackenzie Mgbako for Indiana. He's their main shooter there. He's averaging, as of late here, 1.4 made three-pointers per game for Indiana here in the last 10 games. Scoring about 11.5, shooting about 31% from behind the arc. So you got to control him out there at that three-point line. Renew is shooting about 55% and averaging about 15.8 points per game over the last 10 for Indiana. So a couple of the main guys you got to watch out for if you are Wisconsin heading into this game here. Indiana, I mean, looking at this team, they have some size. When you get into Kilo Ware, 7-footer from Indiana there, 242, he's a big body. He's going to get after the likes of Steven Crowell in this game. So the Badgers will have to be able to play inside out in this game. I think it's going to come down to a lot of outside shooting for the Badgers, jump shots. Can the Badgers hit jump shots in this game? Don't go away from the inside stuff. That's not what I'm saying if I am Greg Gard, if I am the Badgers. I'm not saying go away from the paint in this game. What I'm saying is that you're going to have to open up the paint by allowing it to flow from the outside in. You're going to have to be able to get it in, get it out, knock down shots, extend the defense out. Don't let them send the double, any of that kind of stuff in this one. We've seen a lot as of late where Steven Crowell actually comes out of the paint. Maybe that's going to be a thing that the Badgers will key in on this one, getting Ware out of the paint there, allowing Tyler Wall to go to work in there, AJ Storr, whoever it is, cutters going to the basket, everything like that. That could be another game plan heading into this one. Get the size of Indiana out of the way in this game here. They got a lot of size. They got a lot of length. You have to avoid playing into Indiana's hands in this game at Assembly Hall. Assembly Hall is a tough place to play. We know that. We've seen it over the years there. We watched our Badger team go down there last year and just get completely throttled. And, yes, better team last year, but this is still not an Indiana team that you can take lightly. They can score the basketball. They play well on the defensive end. This is a tough team. This is a tough team. Tough Big Ten contest on the road. We know it. We played one of the worst teams in the conference in Michigan on the road, and Michigan took it to us like we were one of the worst teams in the Big Ten. This is a game the Badgers have to play disciplined basketball. You cannot afford the costly turnovers, the silly turnovers, the stupid mistakes, the bad passes that shouldn't have been made at all, and for some reason, we try to whip it. That's the big killer for Wisconsin as of late, is the turnover margin. How do the Badgers play in this one? Is it a clean game, or do they go on the road and they struggle? There's 2 ways this game goes. That's the worry for me if I am Wisconsin, is keeping control of the basketball in this game, controlling the tempo, playing your game, taking good shots. That's going to all lead to what we want to see, a win for Wisconsin here. You get into this running match with Indiana, you play outside of your game, you start to fall for traps, you start to throw bad passes, turnovers, everything like that. This game will get ugly. This game will get ugly fast. The Badgers, as of late, have not played well on the road. They played some bad teams on the road. Michigan, Rutgers. Iowa's not a great team. I won't say they're a bad team, but they're not a great team. You played 3 bad teams on the road, not great teams. And all those teams, Michigan controlled that game. I don't care what anybody says. It looked closer than what it was. Rutgers destroyed you at their place. Iowa put up 86, I believe it was 86 points against the Badgers there in that game. 86 or 88 points against Wisconsin in that overtime game. 88 points against your defense in an overtime game there. Indiana hasn't been scoring the ball very well as of late, but 70 points a game there. 70 points against Nebraska and 72 against Northwestern. Both games were at Assembly Hall. This team can score it. You cannot let them have a shot in this one. You can't let them, they say it, you can't let them have a glimmer of hope, right? This is we want to say a good Wisconsin team, right? They have to prove it in this game. The last few games they've played, Maryland, 74-70. Yes, they were controlling that game by a lot more. Yes, Maryland hit a lot of shots late, but still, 74-70. Lost the game to Iowa. Close game against Ohio State. I don't care. It was an 8-point game. A lot of people like to look at that game like it was something different. That game was closer than 62-54 because Ohio State missed a lot of point-blank shots late in that one. Rutgers blew you out. Michigan, 72-68, but that game felt like it was, they were down by 4 and it felt like 15 because the Badgers just couldn't score. You cannot go on the road here and play like you have on the road as of late. Otherwise, you will lose to Indiana. Plain and simple. Plain and simple as it is. That's what I'm seeing right now out of this Badger team. They defensively have to play discipline in this game. Offensively, have to control the tempo, the pace, and their discipline. They have to control their discipline on both ends of the floor. Defensively and offensively. No stupid mistakes in this game, and the Badgers will win it. Stupid mistakes will lead to this game getting ugly and us talking about a Badger loss tomorrow here on the show. So that's not what we want. That's not what we want. We don't want to see a Badger loss. This game, I got to see big games out of Max Klesmit. And I'm going to say Stephen Crowell. I think Kalal Ware is going to take him out of the game for a while here, but the Badgers can't go away from him completely. You have to keep going back to that post. And I'm going to venture as far to say Tyler Wall in that mix too. You got to have big games out of Tyler Wall, Stephen Crowell, and Max Klesmit in this one. I think AJ Storr is going to flow fine. I think Chucky's finding a little bit of offense as of late. I'd love to see it continue, but we've seen it. When Max Klesmit's hitting shots, the Badgers win basketball games. Plain and simple. Max has got to continue to play well. He's going to be a factor for this Badger team, not just in this Indiana game, but throughout the rest of the year, into the Big Ten tournament and into the big dance. Max Klesmit is going to be a key factor for the Badgers to put on any run. But with that, other than that, in Big Ten play coming up here today, I just wanted to check, see if there's any Big Ten games on the docket. The only other Big Ten game coming up here today will be Penn State and Iowa. That should be a pretty good game there. Penn State and Iowa on the Big Ten Network starting at 8 o'clock. Don't know why they got the Big Ten Network at 8 o'clock and we get the 6 o'clock tip on Peacock. That's just the son of a gun. But with that, that is about all I got. We got the Bucks in action tonight. We got the Brewers in action today. And we have the Badgers in action tonight. So hopefully we are talking about a couple, 3 big wins there. 1 in spring training, so it doesn't matter as much. But we are talking about 3 wins there tomorrow on the show. But with that, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you guys back here tomorrow. But until then, deuces.